Hello, Gentle Explainer here. Today I am going to gently explain a thriller drama movie called Sleeping with My Student. Today's story is about a student who starts a dangerous game with his teacher. It begins in a hotel room where everything between them is recorded on camera. That video, converted into an MMS, becomes a weapon in the boy's hands, using it to wreak havoc in his teacher's life. And then begins a dangerous game between teacher and student, sparked by 17 years of hatred. But what ultimately happens, and why the student wants to destroy his own teacher, we'll find out in today's story. The story begins with a car driving on an American highway, where a woman named June is angry with her husband, Johnson. Their young child is crying in the back seat, but the two are engaged in an argument. June suspects Johnson is having an affair with another woman and is furiously asking questions. Johnson clarifies that there's nothing like that. "You're doubting me for no reason," but June doesn't believe him and angrily demands he stop the car. And in the ensuing scuffle, the car crashes, killing Johnson on the spot. The story then shifts to 17 years later, where three friends are enjoying a weekend in a luxurious hotel room. Amid fun drinks and lots of conversation, Kathy is celebrating her new achievement. She's recently been appointed principal of her school, and she's overjoyed. During the conversation, she reveals to Megan and Stacy that she's now divorced from her husband, Ben, and is now a single mother with her 16-year-old daughter, Bree. Suddenly, the air conditioner in the room breaks down, and they start feeling hot. A young man named Ian comes to their room and fixes it in no time. However, Kathy's friends start trying to flirt with him. Ian responds briefly and leaves. A little while later, Kathy arrives at the hotel poolside wearing a swimming costume. Despite being a single mother, she has a very attractive personality. Ian arrives and starts talking to her. He tries to impress her, but Kathy doesn't respond. He then goes into the water and pretends to be drowning. Seeing this, Kathy panics and pulls him out. Ian smiles and says, "I was just getting in the water to clear my mind." He then jokingly says, "You're so beautiful, so why don't we go to the room and have a drink and talk?" Kathy agrees and brings him to her room. There, Ian slowly tries to get closer to Kathy. Kathy rebuffs him, saying, "I'm not comfortable getting involved with someone much younger." Despite this, Ian treats her so nicely that she can't resist, and they get closer. Meanwhile, we see Ian recording everything on his mobile phone. By the time Kathy wakes up the next morning, Ian has already left. After placing a single rose beside her, Kathy meets her friend, and they all check out of the hotel and head home. It's then that we learn that Ian wasn't actually a hotel staff member. He had just come for a night on his friend's shift. Then, he gets in his car and starts looking at a photo, which turns out to be of Kathy's daughter, Bree. This suggests that Ian came here with a specific purpose and secretly took an MMS. But what he intends to do with it, and what his true motives are, we'll find out soon, so stay tuned. Ian then arrives home, where he lives with his ailing mother and drug-dealing stepfather. He doesn't get along well with his stepfather, but he loves his mother deeply and takes great care of her. Meanwhile, Kathy returns home. Today is her first day at school as the new principal, and her daughter Bree is also attending the same school. Bree is a quiet and introverted girl, so she feels quite uncomfortable meeting new people. Kathy encourages her, saying, "Nothing like this will happen while I'm there." Afterward, both Kathy and Bree arrive at the school, but then, suddenly, Kathy spots Ian and is surprised. The next moment, he's gone. Kathy thinks, maybe there's another boy who just looks like him. Then, she goes to her office and meets her assistant, Mina. Meanwhile, Bree arrives at class and sits on the last bench. The professor is about to begin his lecture when Ian enters, and it's his first day at school. He sits next to Bree, and they both introduce themselves. After class, Bree goes to the art gallery and looks at some paintings. Three students, Gina, Leslie, and Steve, Leslie's boyfriend, approach her. They want to be friends with Bree because she's the principal's daughter. They also want her to join their group and become a cheerleader. Bree replies, "I'll ask my mom," but she starts to stutter while talking, and Steve laughs at her. Just then, Ian arrives and gets angry at Steve, so Steve quickly apologizes and leaves. A little while later, Kathy arrives and Gina asks, "Can we take Bree to a pizza party?" Kathy agrees. They both take Bree outside. Outside, Gina and Leslie discuss Ian. Leslie explains, "I dated Ian at a party, but we broke up a long time ago." Ian approaches Bree and begins talking. Bree thanks him because Steve laughed at her stuttering, and Ian responded. The next day, Ian and Bree meet again at school and talk about a lot. When they go to class together, Kathy is shocked to see Ian. She's convinced he's the guy she hooked up with, and he's now a student at her school, causing her some anxiety. Now the story is about to take an interesting turn, as Ian has already started his game. Kathy arrives at the office, tense, and asks Mina about Ian. Mina explains that Ian transferred from another school and has a disturbing track record. He looks good, but is extremely dangerous. Sometimes he gets so angry that he loses control. Hearing this, Kathy becomes even more worried because a photo from that night at the hotel was sent to her mobile from an unknown number, and only Ian could have done this. Then, while leaving school, Kathy notices Ian talking to Bree. Seeing this, she immediately approaches them and asks Bree to leave. Bree introduces Ian, but he doesn't respond well. Then, getting in the car, she tells Bree that this guy is no good. Don't ever meet him again. But Bree becomes angry, realizing that for the first time in her life, someone is treating her with respect. Her mother still refuses, insisting that she try to understand what she's saying. The next day, Kathy calls her ex-husband Ben and tells him to take Bree out because she has some important things to do. Ben says, "If there's any problem, you can let me know." But Kathy brushes it off, citing work pressure without explaining anything. Ben then takes his daughter to a restaurant so she can spend some time with her dad. Kathy then goes and tells her friend Megan, after that night at the hotel, "I'm in trouble. That boy is my student, whom I didn't know, and now he's after my daughter." Megan tells her not to worry, just keep an eye on him. If there's any problem, I'm here. Meanwhile, Ian follows Bree quietly to the restaurant. Seeing him, Bree excuses herself to her dad to go to the bathroom and goes to him. The two go off to the side and start talking. Ian says, "Your eyes are so beautiful. I feel like drowning." He was actually trying to entice Bree into falling in love. Just then, Ben arrives. Bree introduces him as, "He's my classmate." Ben feels strange, but doesn't say anything. After returning home, Ben tells Kathy, "A boy named Ian was talking to Bree, but I didn't like him." Kathy says, "Yes, I know about him. He's not a good guy, but Bree doesn't know what he wants. There's no need to worry because I've explained it to Bree." Then, at night, Kathy gets an idea. She decides to gather proof against Ian and sneaks into school without telling anyone, placing a tracker in Ian's locker to monitor his actions. The next day, an announcement is made at school that all students' lockers will be checked. And when Ian's locker is opened, the same knife is found inside. Ian is immediately summoned to the principal's office. Without wasting any time, Kathy asks him, "Why are you stalking my daughter? And why are you doing this?" Ian explains that he had already been stalking Bree on social media. He learned everything about Bree and Kathy from there, and that everything that happened at the hotel was all his planning. He even recorded a video of that night. Kathy is terrified after watching the video, and Ian immediately resorts to blackmail. He says, "Give me $50,000, or I'll show this video to everyone, and I won't release Bree." Kathy replies, "Don't try to blackmail me. If you make the video viral, you'll go straight to jail." But Ian refuses to listen. He threatens her to pay him quickly, or he'll ruin her life. But Kathy, undeterred by his threats, refuses to pay. She then calls security and expels him from school. Ian, furious, leaves for his home. Then we see Gina quietly follow Ian out of school. But Ian returns home and starts arguing with his stepfather. And the argument escalates to the point where, in a fit of rage, Ian stabs him. Meanwhile, Gina arrives and calls out to Ian. Shocked, Ian asks, "What are you doing here?" Gina replies, "I still like you and want to be in a relationship with you again." But Ian yells, "Get out of here and never come back." Just then, Gina sees someone lying on the floor in the other room. Ian takes a stick and threatens her, saying, "If you tell anyone about this, I'll kill you." He then bangs on Gina's car window with a stick, shattering it and terrifying her, causing Gina to flee in fear. Ian returns home and, still consumed by rage, finishes off his already wounded stepfather, striking him repeatedly with a stick until he dies. He then goes to his mother and tells her, "Stay here for a few days. I'll definitely come back to get revenge on Kathy." And then we learn that Ian was actually the same child we saw crying in the car at the beginning. His mother was fighting with her husband about his affair with Kathy, and the accident shattered her entire world. Therefore, he wants to take revenge on Kathy and destroy her, and this is what he's been planning all along. Then, Ian arrives at school and meets Bree, pretending to have something important to discuss with her. In reality, he kidnaps Bree to force Kathy to come. Kathy panics when she learns that Bree isn't at school. Just then, Gina arrives and tells her that while she was coming to class, she saw Ian taking Bree with him. Hearing this, Kathy panics and immediately calls Bree, but Ian picks up the phone and threatens her that if she doesn't pay, she'll regret it. Your daughter is still safe with me. Give me the money and take her away. And if you call the police, your daughter will be brutally killed. Kathy is terrified and immediately meets with her friend Megan, explaining that informing the police could endanger her daughter. Therefore, they must somehow arrange the money. Meanwhile, Ian is driving Bree somewhere, and Bree, still unaware of all this, asks, "Where are you taking me? The school is on the other side." Ian replies, "Your mom is a terrible woman, and I want to take revenge on her." Hearing this, Bree becomes frightened and asks him to leave the school. Then, Ian shows her a gun and forcibly takes her to a location. Terrified, Bree begins to plead, "Please, I want to go home." But he tells her everything, saying, "My life is ruined because of your mom. 17 years ago, she was involved in an affair with my dad, and that led to an accident that killed my dad and ruined my life with my mom. I didn't bring you here to kill you, but to force your mom to realize how many lives she has ruined." Hearing this, Bree feels deeply ashamed and angry at her mother. Meanwhile, Kathy and Megan arrive at the location. Kathy tells Megan to stay in the car and call the police if she doesn't return in 10 minutes. She then goes to Ian's house alone, where she finds Bree held at gunpoint. Kathy places all the money on the table and asks Bree to leave. Meanwhile, Bree confronts Kathy. "You didn't treat Ian well." Ian also says, "You ruined 2 families, and mine was the worst of all. That's why I will never forgive you." Kathy apologizes, saying, "I'm very sorry, but please don't do anything to my daughter because of this." Ian says, "I won't do anything to Bree, but you have no right to live." With that, he pulls out his gun, but then Kathy quickly comes and pushes him down, and they both fall together. Ian is killed in the fall, but Kathy survives. She then apologizes to her daughter, saying, "Some mistakes in life can never be undone." The story concludes with Kathy finally finding peace in her life. She focuses on rebuilding her bond with Bree and moving forward from her painful past. Meanwhile, Ian's mother continues to wait for her son, but she doesn't know that Ian will never return, and that's where the story would have ended. I hope you liked this movie explain video. If you want to see more similar movie explain videos, then you can watch this video by clicking here. Now I go and see you in the next video.